Primary ignition.
Welcome to Unlimited Power. My name is D-Rod, and here's my guide to playing Bo Katan at your local Shadows of the Galaxy pre-release or Future Sealed event for Star Wars The Unlimited trading card game. Now, if this is your first time watching one of my guides, I always want to start off by saying the goal here is to look at the commons and uncommons within the set that can really complement your leader, their abilities, and the aspects that you may have a lot of in your sealed pool. Yes, there are going to be some rares and legendaries that really complement some of these leaders and their abilities, but because you're only getting 6 packs in your pre-release kit, you really want to focus on some cards that are going to be more accessible for you and that you may have multiple copies of. With rares and legendaries, since you only get one, you can't really count on getting some of those cards that strongly synergize with the leader. Let's go ahead and start looking at Bo Katan as a leader and a leader unit and see what abilities she brings to the table. As a leader, Bo Katan has the ability to use an action to exhaust herself, and as long as you attacked with a Mandalorian unit this phase, deal 1 damage to another unit. So this is pretty good. It is a little bit slow, so it's all about playing a lot of Mandalorian units and essentially slowly pinging your opponent. This will help you remove some shields from your opponent's units or maybe get them closer to death using Bo-Katan's ability, but you're only going to be able to use this once per turn because you have to exhaust her. It also takes an action, so it's going to be a little slow. Now, as an epic action, you can deploy Bo-Katan when you have 6 or more resources, which means you can do this as early as turn 5. When she's deployed, she's a ground unit with the abilities that are very similar. She is a 4/7, so she hits for 4 with 7 health. That 7 health is pretty decent. And on attack now, you deal 1 damage to a unit. And if you attacked with another Mandalorian unit this phase, you can deal an additional damage to another unit. So you get to essentially split up 2 damage, but you have to attack with 1 Mandalorian prior to this, and you can only get this ability when you attack with Bo-Katan. So this may run into a couple of weird situations. If you don't want her to swing in specific Sentinel units, you can be really limited here. So you're going to want to focus on cards that can essentially remove obstacles out of your way and cards that maybe have Saboteur, or maybe you're focusing on cards that are just going to do additional points of damage to your opponent. Let's take a look at some of the cards within her leadership aspect. So the first one we're going to look at is Bo Katan as a unit. I like this unit just because it's a small 2-cost unit that hits for 3. It's not a bad one. It's one of the only ways you can really play these type of cards in the limited format is if you have a matching leader. Yes, you could always pay out of aspect cost for her, but I think it's better to just get the value right there. Uh, 2-cost unit that's a 3/3 is great to put on turn 1. It's a Mandalorian, so you'll be able to get your bonuses going pretty quick. And when she's defeated, for each player with 15 or more damage on their base, draw a card. Now, drawing cards is going to be important here with Bo-Katan because you're going to want to be playing a lot of Mando units to kind of keep her triggers going. You want to go a little bit wide on your board, meaning you're going to be playing multiple units. So you're going to want to make sure you're replenishing your hand. I think cards that allow you to draw more is going to be great. And you're probably also going to want to stop once you've been able to deploy Bo-Katan. You're going to want to stop putting out resources. Next is going to be Night Owl Skirmisher. Here's a good one because of the smuggle mechanic. This is a good one you can smuggle early and bring out later in the game. You can smuggle it out for 5, or you can pay 3 for it. It's a 4/3 unit, but I recommend smuggling it and bringing it out later. Get that early resource in. That way that you don't have to make some tough decisions here with the Night Owl Skirmisher. And then you can bring it out maybe when your opponent's trying to reclaim the board and you need more units to continue your assault. Next is Ketsu Ono, another Mandalorian underworld unit that is a 2-cost with Saboteur. I really like this unit. It's a great uncommon. It can just go past those Sentinels. And when you do deal damage to the base, you can defeat an upgrade that costs 2 or less on another unit. This could be upgrade tokens or upgrades that maybe they're using to strengthen their attack or anything like that. So something like Ketsu Ono is really going to pair well with Bo Katan. Now, just because you are playing a little aggressive and going wide, it does mean you're probably not going to go first at all. So be aware that you may not have the initiative because you're going to have more units to use and you're really trying to trigger everything so you can get more value out of Bo Katan. In the Ingression aspect, we'll look at Housecast Soldier. It's similar to Ketsu Ono. It's another 2-cost unit with Saboteur. Again, you want to make sure you're hitting the base. Let Bo Katan's ability start pinging opponent's units and go from there. The Disabling Fang Fighter is another good one. It's a Mandalorian unit that's a 3-cost space unit. It's a 3/2, and when played, you can remove or defeat any upgrade. So again, another one to help you get past shields or experience counters or any other type of upgrades your opponent may be playing on their units or your own. It's also Mandalorian, so you can get that bonus from Bo Katan. And last is Detention Block Rescue, another great common that can deal 3 damage to any unit, 6 damage if they've captured something. If you're playing any units that are bigger than 3, it's great to play this card and then use Bo-Katan's ability to ping the unit and finish it off. I think Aggression is probably going to be one of the stronger builds with Bo, as well as the Vigilance aspect, which we'll take a look at here in a minute. But first, let's take a look at Cunning. Cunning's probably going to be the weakest one here because there aren't that many Mandalorians in the Cunning aspect. So if you end up with a lot of yellow cards that you really want to make work, here's some that I think can really fill out your deck. The first one's going to be Jetpack because Jetpacks and Mandalorians always go together. It's a good smuggle unit. It's going to give one of your units a shield for the turn, allowing you to continue to be aggressive. You can throw this on Bo Katan to keep her in play for a little bit longer and help her hit at a 6. The Jetpack, I think, is just a solid choice to keeping your units upgraded and keeping them alive a little bit longer. Surprise Strike is a reprint from Spark of Rebellion, and this is another great one for the aggro package because you can pay 2 and attack with a unit and give it a +3 bonus. Imagine swinging with Ketsu Ono with Saboteur. Play Surprise Strike, let her do 5 damage to your opponent's base, defeat an opponent's upgrade, then trigger Bo Katan's ability or attack with Bo Katan yourself to deal additional points of damage to a unit. And last is Relentless Pursuit. We talked about this earlier. You really want to take care of the obstacles in front of your board. Relentless Pursuit gives you a way of doing that. You can pay 3 to choose a friendly unit, and it will capture a non-leader unit that costs the same or less than it. If you played on a bounty hunter, you get a shield. Chances are you probably won't be playing more bounty hunters. But if you do, this can still benefit you. I think Relentless Pursuit gives you a couple of options here to, again, start moving things off the board. You may have to play some of these on your bigger units, which there are some in the Mandalorian traits, or you can play it on Bo-Katan itself and allow her to start capturing these units. The goal is here to just get them out of play long enough for you to continue to put damage on your opponent's base, getting closer to the win. Vigilance is going to give you a variety of cards that you can play. I think this pairs very well, with Bo-Katan, because you're going to have several Mandalorians you can pick through, cards like Fen Rao, a couple of the Gauntlets, as well as the Blacksmith. But here are the 3 that I think you really want to pay attention to. First is going to be Clan Ren Rescuer, an easy 2-drop, so you can play this on turn 1. That's a Mandalorian Trooper, and that immediately gives an experience token to any unit in play, including itself. Just start building up your army there, put it on Mandalorians you're really trying to keep in play, or Bo-Katan herself. Concord Dawn Interceptors is another strong one because it's a 3-cost space unit with Sentinel and a 1/4 stat. This Mandalorian unit also gets +2 when they are defending, meaning when a unit does have to swing into it, the unit's probably is going to take 3 points of damage. Now, if you can put more experience counters on this, it's going to be a great Sentinel unit that continues the Mandalorian theme. And last is Rivals Fall, the 6-cost common that's going to defeat any unit in play. Again, this is going to be great for removing barriers as well as leaders that are really preventing you from getting over the line there for your final points of damage. Command aspect is probably what I'd put a second tier behind Vigilance. Not many Mandalorians here, but some strong cards to help you out. The first one's going to be Aldelphi Patrol Wing, a 5-cost space unit that when played, you can attack with a unit. And if you have initiative, it gets +2/+0 for the attack. Now, I mentioned earlier, Bo-Katan may not allow you to really take advantage of those initiative moments, but this is a good one. If you know it's in your hand, you can always plan ahead and take the initiative and use this to your advantage. Surprising your opponent with a unit and allowing another unit to attack with a bonus, it will definitely catch them off guard. Sundari Peacekeepers is one of the few Mandalorian command units here. It's a 1/5 that costs you 3 resources. It has Raid 2 and Restore 2. When you're playing these aggro packages, the Restore 2 ability is always going to be pretty strong. That 2 health adds up really quick and allows you to continue to swing on your opponent without worrying about playing defensively too much. The Raid 2 is also great because that allows them to hit at a 3 on an opponent's base or a unit. And lastly is outflank. When you're playing a little bit slower than your opponent and playing more units, outflank can really give you an advantage. You pay 1 for this event and attack with 2 units at one at a time during the same action. So this is great, especially when you have damaged units that you really want to make sure swing, so that way you can ensure that they survive long enough to get damage on the board before your opponent takes them out. This also pairs well with Bo Katan in play. So you can swing with one Mandalorian unit first and then swing with Bo Katan second and trigger her abilities. In the hero aspect, it's hard to pass up This Is the Way. The ability to search the top 8 cards of your limited 30 card deck in this format for 2 Mandalorian and or upgrade cards and put them in your hand is super important. You get to see majority of your deck, see what's really kind of filter some things out, as well as put 2 cards in your hand, which is very important in an aggro package like this. Mandalorian and or upgrade cards really give you the variety as well. If you need the units, go for that. If you need upgrades to kind of help you in a certain situation, you can do that as well. The Gray Squadron Y-Wing is also a great card that if you get, it's an easy 2-cost unit to put into space, and when it attacks, it hits for 1 and has 3 health. But on attack, an opponent chooses a unit or base they control, and they have to deal 2 damage to it. This type of card really throws your opponent off. It makes them have to choose which unit's going to take the damage, which can really throw them off their game as far as their decision making. A lot of times your opponent is sitting there thinking about their next turn or setting up cards correctly, and this kind of card really interrupts not just their train of thought, but their future lines of play. Protector of the Throne is another Mandalorian unit that costs 3. It's a 2/4 unit, and as long as you can put an upgrade on it, whether it's a shield token, experience token, or an upgrade card, you can give this unit Sentinel, which will make it pretty good in the format. Lastly is the Mandalorian Warrior. This is going to be a great common in the non-aspects that you're really going to want to make sure you put in your deck. It's a 3-cost unit that's a 3/3. When played, give an experience token to another Mandalorian unit. So I think obviously this is going to be a great card. The stats are good. You can put this out as early as turn 2. And I mean, art's solid, and it can just start buffing up other units. Rich Reward is going to be a strong upgrade for you because you're going to be, again, being able to put experience tokens on your units. Put this bounty on a unit that you know you can kill pretty easily, whether with one of your units or Bo Katan, and start strengthening up your army here. And last is the Twin Pod Cloud Car. Not a Mandalorian unit at all, but it is a 3 unit that sits in space with a 2/2 stat line and Restore 2 ability. As we mentioned earlier, the Restore 2 is really strong in aggro packages because it allows you to just continue to swing on your opponent and heal your base as you go along, widening that gap between your health and your opponent's health. This is my guide for playing Bo Katan at your local pre-release. Let me know how it goes. Let me know what rares and legendaries or aspect you ended up playing with her. I'm excited to hear about it. If you like this format as far as talking about guides and sealed play, let me know by subscribing or leaving comments or liking the video. Thanks again, and I want to wish you luck at your future pre-release, and may the Force be with you.